right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. We're excited about food, and I know a lot of you are excited about food as well. And again, Chef Jen is here, and we're going to talk about Eat the Rainbow. So,
Eat, not just the rainbow, that rainbow.
Oh, that rainbow. So again, I should introduce myself, Troy Albright. I'm a registered pharmacist. I own a compounding pharmacy, RX Formulations, and then I have a commercial vertical hydroponics farm as well, and I'm growing food vertically. And so I'm hooking up with chefs like Chef Jen here that really love food and have a passion for good quality food as well. And we want to bring to the community better insight on nutrition and how to eat healthier.
And why it's important, why we should, right?
That's true. That's a big
because the
part
marketing organizations out there try to convince us that, oh, eating processed food is good for us.
Exactly. It's fortified, as they say. It's fortified with this and that.
Enhanced, enriched,
Yes.
whatever, yeah.
Doesn't replace what God's done with our food naturally. So
True
that's what it's all
statement.
about. All right.
And I am Chef Jennifer. I own a company called Witnessing Nature and Food. We are an all-organic, full-service catering company. We also teach cooking classes, and then we do food education classes like this, as well as I do meal prep and meal plans for people that are too busy or don't have the time to shop and cook, and they just want to sit down, have a nice, comfortable dinner with their significant other or by themselves, and they don't care about what goes into what goes into the cooking, the buying, and so on. They just want to have a nice leisurely evening, because that may be the first time they've had peace all day. So tonight we have Eat That Rainbow. Our tip cards are here. We're going to go through it from a macro and micronutrient, and then the relationship between color and nutritional value inside of fruits and vegetables. I put in some legumes and some whole grains, as well as nuts and seeds. Kind of get back to basics,
Yes.
right?
Well, that's the problem. We think we don't need the basics. That's where we need to start, and that's our foundation, is the basics.
It is, absolutely. And no matter how educated we are, sometimes you just got to go back to basics.
Correct. That's correct. All right. So micronutrients. How many of you understand what micro and macronutrients are? I know you guys do, because you've been doing this. How long have you been doing whole food supplements and things like that?
We started almost 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago.
Almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
What about you? I know you said you're a vegetarian,
You're vegetarian?
Yeah, but I don't know about this yet.
right? Yeah. But how long have you been a vegetarian?
12 years.
12 years. That's great.
It is great.
That's great. So, well, good. We can get into it.
Yep, so micronutrients equate to the vitamins that are inside of the produce, or inside of any thing you eat. And then the macronutrients are your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. I also listed in there dietary fiber, but dietary fiber doesn't really fall inside of anything except for that it counts as a carbohydrate, because you get 4 calories for every carbohydrate. However, it's not absorbed by the system. It is actually provided into your intestinal system as a prebiotic to help all those bad bacteria, give them something to eat, so your good bacteria can continue to do all of the wonderful immune fighting things that it's supposed
So
to be doing.
fiber in and of itself is not carb, it is not
It is a
micro-
carb. It is considered a carb based upon caloric intake. However, it doesn't provide any nutritional value.
Okay.
There are no macro, no micronutrients, just the
But
4
without it, it
calories.
doesn't get absorbed.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's great. Good question.
And so a lot of people, when they come to me and they say, oh, you're a vegetarian, people come to me and go, oh, I really don't like vegetables. My significant other does not like vegetables, although he'll eat my vegetables, and I put vegetables on his plate, so he doesn't really have a choice sometimes. But, and I tell him his colon will love him, but they really don't like vegetables because they eat the same thing all the time. Not realizing that they think of, I'm gonna eat vegetables, they think of vegetables as I'm gonna have a salad. I'm gonna have some more lettuce thrown on, and the only way I can eat it is with dressing.
Ranch, right?
Ranch. I like that.
That's my daughter.
The only way I can eat is with dressing, and it is just really, really boring. If I was going to eat vegetables all day, and then he really believes that you cannot get many things from eating vegetables, many macro and micronutrients from eating vegetables, which is a myth.
I agree. Well, I'm from Minnesota, the Midwest, and
I grew up on a dairy farm.
so
You
we
grew up
had,
on a
yeah,
farm?
Farm. We had a lot of dairy, and we grew our own beef, have beef and pork
Yeah.
and chickens, and it was meat and potatoes, and corn was our vegetable. And so now I know way different.
Well, I still like meat, but I eat a lot less red meat
Correct.
than I do fish or chicken. And I really am not a fan of pork at all, because a lot of times I find that the way they preserve pork, they put a lot of nitrates in it, and it makes my
Correct.
hands and my feet swell. And so I really don't, and plus my stomach doesn't digest it very well, so it just does not make me a very happy person.
I understand. Lots of chemicals being put into our food supply. And that's what's drove me to start growing my own food vertically. And it's because of all those chemicals and pesticides, herbicides, and even when I asked my father, did we use DDT? And he said, yeah, the government said it was safe. And we use
Yeah.
thousands of gallons of DDT in our crops. And boy, now we know that it's creating a lot of different issues in our,
Well, we
our
used to
health.
have lead in our paint. And it's certain things that, like the EPA says that lead is bad for paint, so we don't have lead in our paint, but women wear lipstick, and if you put lipstick on, they have lead in the paint.
Right.
Lead in the lipstick still.
Isn't that something?
So the EPA and the Food and Drug Administration don't talk very much. So anyways, I kind of went through things like macro and micronutrients, so you can figure out if you're craving something orange or something red or something purple, my favorite color.
I know. I like
Then
blue.
you like blue, there you go.
Water.
Blue. Then you really are actually craving your body's actually craving a vitamin or a source of protein or carbohydrate that is really it needs and it's lacking right then. And so that's why you can kind of figure out that, I'm looking for yellow peppers or red peppers or purple eggplant, is because my body's saying, your body's smart enough to know that it's going to get something from that color.
That's I crave purple stuff actually. So
Do you?
I'll go through and I have to have eggplant.
Oh, I love eggplant.
Yep.
When I was young, I was talking about this, I did a fish cooking class over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I taught a bunch of people how to barbecue fish and keep them nice and moist and not overcook it and so on. And one of the things I said, my mom hated fish, unless you count fish sticks.
Processed fish, huh? Fish.
Exactly. Lots of breading
Yes.
and ketchup.
Yes.
So, or tartar sauce.
Yes.
So I was 19, 20 years old before I ever had fish.
Real fish, that is.
Real fish, that was, yes. And I want to say I was 21 or 22 when I got food poisoning from a really nice fish restaurant. So the fact that I actually like fish today is a testament to the fact that I went back and trusted over again that
Exactly.
it wasn't something evil. It wasn't something evil in it. There was no conspiracy.
Right.
But the same thing for vegetables. I mean, we grew lettuce. We had apple trees. We had pear trees and cherry trees. We grew corn. We grew rhubarb. Rhubarb pie. Yum.
No, I've never acquired a taste for rhubarb.
No?
No.
My mom used to put a little bit too much sugar in it, but
Even then, I still would not eat it. So.
no.
I'll cut it for you and grow it, but I won't.
We grew
eat it.
strawberries.
Oh yes. Raspberries.
We grew watermelon, cucumbers. But there's a lot of things. I never had mustard greens, collard greens. We grew carrots, so we ate the greens off the tops of the carrots.
Oh,
But
really?
they don't sell them in the store. You can rarely find greens on the tops of the carrots because people won't pay for them in weight because carrots are sold by weight. And why should I pay for all these tops if I'm just going to throw them away?
Yeah, we always cut them off. We never use them.
Oh, I use them for spices. If I run out of parsley or cilantro or any other basil or something like that, I cut up the carrot greens and I throw them on top of it.
So it's actually edible.
Absolutely, they're
Okay.
yummy. It's just like flat leaf parsley for the most part.
Okay. Next time instead of throw it away, I'll cut it up.
You
and
should,
throw it out.
absolutely.
Okay.
I have carrots. You got to come over and see my tower garden. My tower garden's doing really well.
You have carrots in your tower garden?
I have carrots in the pot right next to it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's
No, if I have carrots, I have carrots
and
and onions. I have carrots and onions
okay.
right next to.
Are onions got any nutritional value? Is that
Onions, for
Yes.
nutritional value, they are great for your probiotics, your prebiotics.
Okay. Prebiotics. Okay.
Yes. And I didn't include white in here because white is a little less on the vitamin spectrum. However, I'll tell you that white cauliflower makes my stomach upset, and I'm not super happy about eating it. But you give me purple cauliflower or orange cauliflower, and I am like,
Big difference.
It's a huge difference for how it tastes to me, and then how I feel when I eat it.
So that would be, where's
Under
that fall?
purple.
So
All
is that
under
a,
purple.
is that a micronutrient then?
It would fall under micronutrients, yes.
So all your
yes.
cruciferous type vegetables,
Mhm.
which are typically green, but in this case,
this case, yeah,
cauliflower
yeah.
is not. Okay. So there is a reason to eat the different colored cauliflowers then. It's not just for
Absolutely.
show.
Well, now
Absolutely.
typically the color is in the skin.
Yeah.
Oh, I
When
see.
you cut an apple, it's white.
Correct. So you're saying a lot of your nutrition's in the skin then.
Well, I'm asking.
But no, and the purple and the orange cauliflower, they're all the way through. It's purple and orange all the way through.
And
It's a
probably
light, it's a
beets,
lighter
too.
color.
Probably,
Beets are dark red all the way through. Purple
Yeah.
beets are purple all the way through. And actually, they're a food color. I would consider them something that I use for beet juice is something I use to naturally color Easter eggs
Okay, yeah.
at Easter time. Because if you cut beets, red beets, and if I don't wear gloves, my hands will be purple for 5, 6, 7 days.
Okay. So red would fall under more of the micronutrients as well?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
I'm not a fan of beets, so
You have to try orange beets though.
I don't know.
I'll make you some orange beets. You
I
won't
got
even
you
know the
tried.
difference.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right. I'll trust
We
you.
actually took in, I do classes for the homeless and domestic violence shelter. And so we don't use wine because a lot of them have addiction problems.
Right.
We use beet juice to make gravy.
Oh, really?
Instead of using wine in your gravy, we put beet juice in.
Okay.
And it works really, really well. And beet juice is like those purples, those dark purples from beets or blueberries or any of the berries. Those have so many antioxidants as well as
Right.
nutritional value, fiber. I mean, they hit every aspect of nutrition.
Yeah, it's because I just gone to a lecture, I guess it was last week, and they talked about like an apple has 10,000 phytonutrients in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I had no idea, just in a single apple like that.
I love them nice and crunchy.
Yep.
Fuji's are my favorite.
Summer crisp.
Summer crisp?
Yes.
My mom, we grew Red Delicious apples,
Mhm.
and then we had, when I was a kid, we had a apple mill that we went down and we picked apples by the bushel and we bring them home. And at the time, you couldn't get apples any other time of the year except at harvest season. So we had 55-gallon garbage buckets that my mom saved all of the newspaper all year long, and we wrapped all of the apples in newspaper and
Okay.
put them in the bucket so they would last all winter long, so we would have fresh fruit all winter long.
So that just kept them dry.
It kept them dry as well as it from absorbing all of the, it absorbed all of the development
Oh, there's a
methane,
Yes.
and
Which
it
ripens
kept it, which ripens them and makes them spoil,
Right.
which kept them clean all summer long,
Oh,
all
wow.
winter long.
So the nutritional value does not go away as much?
So it does not ripen as fast. It slows down the ripening process, especially when you keep them in the cold. We kept them in the cellar, so you keep them cold. You have the methane is absorbed by the newspaper, so that they don't lose nutritional value as much. Because you're bringing up a really great point. Is part of the reason why I do organic and I do local is because the minute that it's picked, it starts to lose nutritional
Right.
value. But in times when you have no fruit or vegetables that you're going to get all winter long and all you have is meat and potatoes, then really you get some nutritional value from storing all those fruits and vegetables all winter. My mom canned them all and
Yeah, canning and et cetera, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
She canned everything and we ate it with cream and mushroom soup. I haven't had cream and mushroom soup since I left the house.
We eat a lot of cream and mushroom soup as well. Oh my goodness.
I have not had that not one time since I left.
We don't either. So that's good. Okay. So as you talk about eat that rainbow, can you go are we trying to get how many servings a day? 7 to 13? I mean, that's what we're really talking about. With most of our nutrition. Even the AMA is talking about eating 7 to 13 servings for heart health and
Exactly.
different things.
So different ones will have different ones provide different micronutrients that will help fight diabetes as well as heart problems, intestinal autoimmune diseases. And so I put together a little list here of, fruits. You should probably have 2 cups a day of fruit. Now, fruit does not count as smoothie. Sorry, all you smoothie lovers. But to me, if you're gonna have a smoothie, then you have to not just eat the juice, you have to eat the pulp that goes along with it to get that nutritional value, because you need that fiber. Otherwise, you're just getting the sugar.
Correct.
You're just getting the sugar, and sugar adds a whole different aspect to how your gut behaves.
Right, if you're not buying organic, or you're just also getting exposed to all those chemicals. as well.
Absolutely a true statement. And you can always, and if let's say you can't afford organic, right? You can always go to the Environmental Working Group has an app called the Dirty Dozen and the
Yes.
Clean 15. And again, apples and strawberries, it was announced by CNN this morning, apples and strawberries are again amongst the dirtiest, most chemical-ridden fruits.
So we should always wash them
We should,
well.
well, you can't really wash strawberries very well.
Right.
And I use vinegar. A lot of people use fruit wash, but you can scrub them. But strawberries are not going to fare well. So I would say when you go to the Dirty Dozen, I would always buy organic for those. Buy seasoned and organic.
Okay. Right, because we know that most of our strawberries come from California.
Absolutely.
And was up till end of December of 2012, they were still fumigating the
Absolutely,
soil.
they
So
were.
now they legally can't do that anymore.
Doesn't matter. It's still in there for years.
You're right. So
Doesn't matter. So even if you're an organic farm and you get that fumigation from a farm next to you that is not organic, that year's crops cannot be classified as organic.
so they're still testing.
They're still, yeah, they're still testing all that stuff. They're still testing, and then once you can't be classified as organic, you have to wait 3 more years before you can try again.
Isn't that something? So can we go back to apples? So if
Absolutely.
we're not able to afford organic apples, but we're still buying apples because we know they have lots of phytonutrients.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just washing it with vinegar, or
You
what?
can wash it with vinegar, but it's still not going to take off because it's not going to take off all of the chemicals that are inside.
Oh, so you're saying that when they're spraying these things,
It goes into the water system, right? The ground has all that pollution in it, and
Right.
so when it grows, it's feeding it that pollution.
Well, that makes sense.
yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, so
And
you
there's an
get your
exposure.
yeah. So you are what you eat. So it, vegetables and fruit grow based upon the nutrients that are in the dirt. That's why I support crop rotation and making sure that you get different insects and bugs that are going to be part of that carbon regeneration of the dirt, as well as different fruits and there are different flowers and so on in that dirt that provide different nutrients based upon how they die, and you till it up and the carbon is left inside of it.
So that's the problem with our farms. We're not really,
They're denuded of nutrition, yes.
so they're lacking big time. And then there's a big buildup of all
Chemicals?
chemicals, things that the plants did not want. If they don't
Correct.
rotate their crops, or even if they do, it's not like you and I where we have our raised bed gardens and we put in new soil every year. I know I put in new soil, but most of
I've
people
actually
probably
gone to
don't.
using Coco Core.
Have
Coco
you?
Core is working really well for me, especially in Arizona.
And you know why that works pretty well here?
You tell me.
Because it really retains water.
Retains water, yeah.
And it doesn't allow algae and things like that to start
True,
growing.
and because of the enzyme that's in that coconut, the ground coconut, it helps keeps the insects away.
Yes. It's a
So
natural
you use a
repellent.
natural repellent, yeah.
What is it?
Coco Core.
Yeah, we're doing
I
different
mix
studies.
it in I'm mixing it in with my dirt. In some aspects, and depending on what it is, I mix it. I do it pure. But
Yes.
as other things, I mix it. And it keeps nutrition. Has nutrition in it for about 6 months. So as you harvest, you just replace a portion of it and put some new Coco Core in there, and you have #1 fertilizer. You have insect repellent.
And also Coco Core is an organic product that can be certified organic. So in time we'll be using Coco Core as well, even for vertical farming. We've been playing around with that, and it's coming. It's just a matter of we're going to perfect it, and then we'll bring it out. And again, it'll be bringing you actually a certifiable organic product then.
That's awesome.
So yes, we're excited about it.
That's awesome. I'm doing that for 7 months now, and I've had excellent watering luck with things that I could grow before, and then it would not. It would just go away. It would look like it's doing really well, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm done.
Going back to where you're on the fruits, two cups of fruit per day, that would be included in the 7 to 13.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
So the other 5 to 11 would be a vegetable.
You should get from vegetables, legumes, nuts.
There's a lot of categories of things I don't like, so I've learned a lot over the last 50-some years of my life. So I'm learning to eat all these things, and learning to utilize them differently, and that's why I really think this is a great relationship, because I want to learn how to use these things and not just eat them separately.
Yep.
Eat them and go, I'm gonna eat the thing I hate the most on the plate, and I'm gonna finish with the thing I like the best.
All the time.
Beets are a tough sell for me.
Yeah, beets are,
Beets are good.
I'll never eat beets, sorry.
So I have a question on organic. Is
Yes.
there a place, I mean, is there certain countries or states where we should buy organic or avoid buying organic?
So I've been doing a lot of research on organic and how the government brings in organic and they certify. So I have some questions out that I haven't had answered yet. So I will tell you what I have figured out. That when we have a USDA or certified organic, it doesn't matter what country it comes from, if it has the label on it, then it has been certified by a US entity.
So yes.
It has been certified by a US entity. Now the questions I do not have answers on that have been rumor, and I'm trying to make sure that it's not myth, that it is true, is it certified organic, that it is not sprayed when it comes into the country? Because in transportation, and that's why I think that it gets confusing, is because when it goes to transportation of product, if you do not deliver things on heat-treated pallets, you are required to spray them for insects when you bring them into the country, because wood carries insects that are not desirable for any of our agriculture and our quality of life here.
Well, I understand you said that they spray because of the wood that's
Yes.
carrying the produce,
Yes.
not because of the produce.
Correct. As I read the instruction today, but I'm waiting to find out if, because then you don't, there is a form that comes on importation of organic goods. It covers the organic goods themselves. It doesn't necessarily cover the transportation portion of that. So that's where I think it can become convoluted.
So that's where you need a clarification.
Yeah.
Right. So as I talked to some of my suppliers about this, they basically say it is being sprayed by law, but yet since it's leaving that farm as a certified organic, it's being brought in here that way. And then as it crosses states lines, so into Arizona, so say it comes in California, the port of California gets sprayed, and then when it goes to Arizona, it gets sprayed again.
Different states do different things. So California has a more strict rule. So it may depend on the product too, because it
That's
does
correct.
depend on product as to what they spray.
That's correct.
It
It's
absolutely does
certified
depend on
local.
product.
That's
It is
right, that's
absolutely
right.
inside of 5. Well, for two reasons. One, because you know that it was picked that morning when you buy it. If you go to a farmer's market, they pick it that morning, or maybe they picked last night. But most of the time they pick that morning. They bring it into the farmer's market. So it is at that point, from the time it's picked, if you were to eat it right when you pick it like you do off your tower garden, then that's the most nutritionally dense food you got
Okay.
right then.
All right.
So as it goes, so you figure if it comes from, oranges come from Florida, then Florida boxes up in crates, right, on pallets. They box up all of their oranges. They transport them to a warehouse. They then warehouse is a cooled warehouse, of course, and then it waits to have a full shipment of oranges to go to the next spot. And it could hit, because every one of our transportation ends up being hub and spoke. So it could have, like FedEx has 2 locations, right? So there's one in, I'm gonna screw this up, Memphis, and one in Ontario. So let's say FedEx has those 2. So let's say it comes from Seattle, it goes to Ontario, and then from Ontario it goes to Memphis, Memphis it goes to New York. Right, so it could be in those 2 different warehouses before it ends up in New York versus going straight from Oregon or Washington to New York directly. So trucking companies are the same way. Every trucking company does not have a hub in every single state. So wherever their main hubs are, and depending on how it's transported, that's how it ends up in your local market. And so then everything goes to a distribution center. In the distribution center, then all the stores show up, Fry's, Safeway, all those guys all show up, look at all the produce, pick what they want, their buyers decide what they want, and it gets distributed to their warehouses and then ultimately to their stores. So it could be 2, 3, 4 weeks before something from Florida shows up in your grocery store.
Okay.
Isn't that something?
So if I'm gonna be eating kale, better I get it off my tower because I don't know where it really came from or where it's been.
Well,
With a real
it'll
growth
tell
kale
you,
in there,
they
don't-
have to put on the label exactly where it was grown.
But I'm saying it doesn't, we don't grow it locally.
No, yeah, Blue Sky Farms grows kale all the time.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So if I were to take that kale as fresh as I can get
And
it,
there's other farms that are organic that do as well, but
I would take it if I wanted to use it in my smoothies, I would take it and freeze it right away.
you could absolutely, yep,
Help preserve some of those
help preserve
nutrients.
some of those
Yeah.
nutrients.
What's left?
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, a lot more is left in that kale because it didn't travel from, from California. I mean, those that are say in New York, by the time it hits New York, we could be 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
5 to 7 business days. That's and so it's the USDA has documented that it's lost 50% of its nutritional value. In some cases, there's hardly any value left. So
Well, in some cases, if you're not buying organic, then you already have, it's growing from a denuded earth,
right.
and then you already have a significantly less amount of value that's gonna be in there to begin with,
Right.
and then by the time you get it, it's gonna be even less.
So anyway, it's such a smoky area. We just encourage people to buy local or buy produce that's being produced here in the U.S. because there's still again, if you keep following the money trail, a lot of intermediaries are getting paid to certify things organic that may not be certifiable organic, and as I read some of these studies, it's very convoluted. So we're just really encouraging to support the local farmers, help the
Plus-
local farmers.
Plus, absolutely, that's a totally true statement, absolutely support local. Just like you do with any of your local businesses. Now, sometimes there are certain things that you can't get. Like if you have to have dragon fruit, it's only gonna come from Asia. It is what it is.
Okay.
But we're lucky in Arizona to have 2 growing seasons. We're lucky to have 2 growing seasons, and we grow everything from pecans to avocados to kale, cucumbers, watermelon. We grow all sorts of things.
But you really have to go
Oranges,
to the farmer's market
apples.
to find them because you won't find them at Sprouts or wherever.
At Sprouts, you will absolutely find some for
Occasionally.
Sprouts, yeah.
They're trying to, by 2020, they're trying to be 5% local. Yeah. It's not very much, but at least they're making strides.
Something more than.
Right,
it is.
because there's a big competition, Amazon bought Whole Foods, and so that's gonna allow these other local grocery stores to really sprout up and service the local population. And that's what we're excited about, because they're embracing the local farmers, the local goods, and really trying to promote within the states that they're serving.
Absolutely. Just a lot of our local farmers, for a company the size of Sprouts, they may not be able to produce as much as Sprouts can consume because they're really boutique farmers, right? Especially the organic farms. Blue Sky Farm. So you go to my favorite markets are Uptown Market, because they do in the wintertime, they do Wednesday and Saturday, and they have the largest market in my opinion. My second favorite happens to be Scottsdale, and then the downtown Scottsdale one. Then I go to Gilbert, and then I go to Phoenix Public, which is downtown, but because I like the restaurant there too. But they have a lot of people selling salsa and pasta and so on.
What was the first one that you mentioned?
Uptown Market. It's on Bethany Home and 7th Street. It's one of the big Bible churches.
Yep. So we're True Gardens in 2 of those. We're in Scottsdale, Old Town Scottsdale, as well as Gilbert.
Right.
And someday we'll be back in the Uptown Market. We had been in there. It's just a matter of having enough bodies to be wherever on Saturday. So
Exactly.
there's some farms there that sort of masquerade themselves as local organic, and that drives me crazy.
And they're not necessarily, yeah. So I stick towards grass-fed beef too, and I stick towards local organic poultry, pastured poultry.
Right. Did we?
Yeah.
We're not even talking about.
No,
that
we're not
tonight.
even going towards
Okay.
that. No.
Oh.
But back to
Yeah.
in order to stay kind of not have to count, and go. I have 1 cup of this and 1 cup of that. I honestly do. When you look at your plate, I basically take my plate and I go. 1/4 of it has starch, a whole like a legume or a whole grain. Another quarter has a meat. If you don't eat meat, then do 2/3 of your 3/4 of your plate all vegetables or fruits or whatever. So I just take that as a simple rule of thumb that if I have half a plate of salad or half a plate of asparagus, chard is like my favorite right now. Ever since I got green lipstick,
Oh, yeah.
chard is my favorite. Yeah, we did a video and we were tasting it, and Troy says, you have to know that your lips and your tongue are now all green. Even your teeth are a little bit green because I was chewing and eating on the chart. It was quite funny. I got organic green lipstick.
That's neat. From your own produce. That's exciting.
Exactly. Now you don't like legumes, do you?
Well, I'm learning to eat these because I know I need to eat across the spectrum. And so when I do make a salad, I'm throwing those things on there, even though, I mean, lentils, I'm learning to like lentils and garbanzo beans and peas. Snap peas fine, but in Minnesota we always had
Fresh sugar pea, yeah.
Yes, but the canned corn. We
Canned
do a
corn,
lot
I
of
can't do
our
that.
canned peas and
I
just
can't do canned peas.
I'm like
I could do
so-
frozen peas and then just thaw them out and leave them cold, but I can't cook peas. I gotta think. We had canned peas all the time growing up. Can't do them.
So I am learning to put those on my salads and things. So it's just taking me some time.
So do you like garbanzo beans?
In hummus,
You like hummus? You don't take your garbanzo beans and throw them on your salad?
oh, I will, but it's not my first choice. So, I mean, in soups, I'll eat them, but it's not like, ooh, put some more garbanzo beans in there. So.
Yeah, but you know what? You can crush them, add some garlic and some olive oil to it. You get some prebiotics, some healthy fats, and a dip for your vegetables.
So where can I find that recipe? Does it come
I'll
pre-made?
send you one.
Okay.
It does not. But you know what? You have a Vitamix.
I do. I can just throw it all in there?
Easy peasy. Throw it all in there. And you can actually now buy from Sprouts. They have the 15-ounce bag, so you don't have any waste. You just open it up, pour out the liquid, and throw the garbanzo beans in the Vitamix.
Really?
Add a couple cloves of garlic. Throw some olive oil in. You have hummus.
All right. I'll try your recipe. So are those garbanzo beans, are those organic too?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't even know how they grow. That shows in my ignorance. I couldn't tell you how they even grow. Is that on a tree or? See, I don't know. I don't know how they grow.
You know what? Garbanzo beans? I'm not positive.
Okay. That's why I don't eat them.
Well, beans grow in the ground.
Greens grow on
Right.
the ground, but garbanzo beans I don't think they do. I think
I
they
learned
grow
to
in
eat
a pod.
green beans, and I think they are a pot, aren't they?
They're a pod, I think.
Yeah. So I've learned to eat green beans and things. So it's slowly seeping into my diet. So.
Quinoa?
Oh yeah, I love quinoa.
Brown rice?
I just love brown.
We made rice pilaf last night at a New Leaf. It was fantastic. We just threw in
Okay.
some.
Aren't there different chemicals, white rice versus brown rice versus?
It's a processing factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Can you talk
processing
about that?
factor.
Should we be eating brown rice or white rice?
So
or?
you want to eat, when you go to whole grains, you really want to stay to the whole grains because it really still has the selenium on the outside of it, which is the fiber portion that you need. And you should eat about a cup of fiber every day.
So white rice never has that? I mean, we have.
It
well,
has
sometimes-
more sugar in it, and it does have some fiber to it, but it's almost completely denuded of any nutritional value.
What about the jasmine sticky rice?
Oh, jasmine sticky rice and basmati rice are a little bit different, but those are not typically the white rices that we eat.
But so those are white or off.
They're off-white.
So
They're
those
not as
aren't
processed.
As processed.
Okay.
And you can get long grain and wild rice. Wild rice is fantastic.
Yeah, I love wild
It
rice.
takes longer to cook
Yeah.
because it's a more dense and more hard, but
What's the difference between all those? I mean, I see the boxes at the store.
it's about the nutritional value.
Okay.
You have more fiber, less fiber, still have the same amount of carbohydrates in them,
Okay.
but they're very low glycemic index.
Okay.
Very low glycemic index, so they're good for people that have sugar issues,
All right.
as well as the black long grain rice, the purple long grain rice have more micronutrients in it than
Oh, okay. So
the
we should
brown.
eat those.
Hmm.
But if we are adding brown rice, that's still pretty good.
It is absolutely.
I don't know what teff is. What
I
is
actually
teff?
don't know what teff is either. I saw it on the list of whole grains,
Huh.
and so I included it. But yeah,
I don't know what. Let's see
Beans
what
and
Google,
peas.
Google says teff is.
Is there not arsenic? They say arsenic in the rice,
The brown rice.
in the brown rice, the white rice, or whatever.
so it is naturally occurring.
Mhm.
So I would not suggest, but there's arsenic in a lot of things. Arsenic in almonds.
Right.
So I mean, there's naturally occurring. I wouldn't say you go out and eat 8 cups a day,
Naturally occurring? I thought you did
Well,
that.
yeah.
but it's naturally arsenic is a naturally occurring. So you could say arsenic is organic.
Well, yeah, it is. I read that somewhere.
It is naturally occurring.
Hmm.
It's actually listed as one of the highest. Oh, it's an ancient grain. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's an ancient grain.
Yeah, so it's actually listed as one of the highest nutritional value whole grains.
Which one?
Teff.
T-E-F-F, teff.
I was
I've
wondering
never
what
heard of
that
it.
was. I've never, I haven't either.
Excellent balance amino acids, high in
Mhm.
protein, calcium. Wow, they can make it grind out into
It's
flour.
actually listed as one of the best things for vegans.
Is barley not wheat? Barley?
Kind of not.
Kind of not.
Yeah, barley's more what they use in beer and so on versus using in wheat. You really don't find barley breads very often.
But then there's barley soup.
Because they put the little pieces of barley in it as a protein staple.
Barley was food.
Chiefly used for brewing. Yep.
Mhm. You find it typically in beer.
Yep. It's a member of the grass family, actually.
Mhm.
Huh. Interesting.
This has a little more bitter flavor. It pairs very well with hops to make beer. I don't like beer at all, but
I
it
don't
has
know.
that smell. I just don't, I can't do the smell. But
Alright.
berries, huge superfood. You always hear about blueberries and acai and goji berries all being huge in lots of micronutrients, very high in fiber, so they're a low glycemic item as well, so they have lots of antioxidants because of the pure, deep color.
I see.
Cranberries, blueberries, strawberries, maybe not as much, but yeah, blackberries, lots of antioxidants.
Wow. Most of those I don't eat.
And it's got seeds through it, so it's very low in glycemic, as well as it's high in fiber.
So now would that be as a fruit?
It is a fruit, but I listed it separate because it has significantly more nutritional value than berries, than fruit
It's a
does.
fruit. Okay.
Most people, when they eat apples, they peel them.
My grandkids don't do that, they don't do that anymore.
But, you know,
So the berries are much higher in antioxidants.
yes. Especially fresh berries.
Okay.
When you add sugar to them, make jam and all this stuff, it kind of like, so
But-
blueberry jam is different than eating blueberries.
Right. Well, that was why you show on the fruit side, you show berries, grapes, cherries,
Mm-hmm.
etc., but you also show it separate over here.
Yes, yes.
That makes sense.
And then nuts and seeds, also high in antioxidants, great oils, so great fats. We're gonna do, our next class is fats, the good, the bad, the ugly. So we'll talk more about nuts and seeds and animal protein and so on. Very high in omega-3s. And if you, it was one of the, I think the last class we did, balancing the blood sugar. If you start with a handful of almonds in the morning, it balances your blood sugar throughout the day.
No, we're talking almonds, but we're talking about raw almonds.
Raw almonds.
Right. Nothing smoked.
Yeah, nothing.
No-
Smoked, roasted,
Yeah,
sweetened, sugared, honey.
Yeah.
Small almonds.
But I mean, because I think they sell a lot of these almonds in the store, but seldom find them raw.
Because we've been trained to eat things with lots of sugar and so on them.
So
Yeah.
I'm just thinking roasted.
Roasted.
Yeah, but
Roasted brings
that's
out the
because
sweetness, I guess, right?
it brings out the smokiness, in my opinion.
Yes. But
And it
still-
adds salt. So they add salt. So actually that's something I talk about in the next class, the
Okay.
bliss factors. So your
Oh.
bliss factors, your sensory load to be able to appreciate things more, to have the maximum satisfaction from your sensory system to eat foods, which is how they engineer processed foods to make you like them.
All right. So I do throw almonds and walnuts and pecans. Those are all cashews. So I've learned
I
to
did a
do those.
huge salad today for a big group of city officials. I put through in pumpkin seeds. Fantastic.
Okay. Raw pumpkin seeds.
Raw pumpkin seeds.
I thought those were just things you scooped out and dried and
No.
used to grow more
No.
pumpkins the next year.
No, no.
Say,
Okay.
has it sprouted?
Sprouted?
Sprouted is better than just buying it.
So sprouted is, when it comes to grains, the sprouted is always better than non-sprouted, because once it puts the energy into creating the sprout, it then becomes a lower glycemic product. It changes it changes its chemical composition a bit, and instead of being a short chain carbohydrate, it becomes a long chain carbohydrate. But you have to be careful as to how they sprout, because a lot of people sprout things by just soaking it in water, and as soon as they start to see it do a little bit of something, then they take it and they dry it back out and they grind it. So you have to make sure that they're following, like, anything, right? You can ride the line,
Well, they're talking
or
about
just
like
be
bread.
committed to it.
If there's sprouted grain bread, so that would be better than, but it's still got wheat.
It still has wheat in it, absolutely, but it has been converted from a short chain carbohydrate to a long chain carbohydrate, reducing its glycemic index a bit. So people that are addicted to having bread every day or 16 times a day, like my kids when they were young, they would take bread and ball it up like an apple and just walk around and eat it like an apple, right?
Never did that.
I was super thrilled that they would eat the bread that I would buy that had seeds and stuff in it, because otherwise they would, my brothers, we only had Wonder Bread when we were kids, really. Or my mom would make white bread,
Right.
right? So my brothers would take and just ball it up and eat it like an apple.
Exactly.
I thought it was something only my brothers did until my sons did it too.
Learn it from their uncles.
There you go.
I'm not sure that they did, but yeah, when they were teenagers, anything that they could compact to get to fill their hollow leg.
No, we had a lot of bread, but a lot of times my mom made it, and so it was didn't have all those chemicals in it. So
Yeah.
lots of chemicals they're throwing in our breads.
Well,
Well,
they
you said that
they
was-
hypergrow our wheat, right? So they
Correct.
hypergrow our wheat, so it has a bigger gluten pod in it. It's not GMO, but
Right.
and then GMO 2.0 is coming, so that's a whole new level of what's coming next.
Right.
It's
Plus-
actually scary.
GMO 2.0.
Yeah.
The next round of
The next round of GMO engineering. It's taken them 25, 30 years to get to this round of GMO.
they're going to try to convince us that this is actually safe, that the previous stuff wasn't.
Just like DDT was good for us back then.
Is this where they have the apple that won't
Won't rust.
rust?
That won't, yeah.
Oxidized?
Oxidized, yeah.
It'll just last forever.
Yes.
Yeah, so you today we take avocados, apples, pears, anything we cut with a metal knife, right? And you have to put citric acid on it, lemon juice, lime juice. You have to put some on it so it doesn't brown, so it looks nice and fresh. So that's what part of the GMO 2.0 is, to prevent that oxidization of air and metal touching the produce and it turning brown. But still, the actual publications have not all been submitted yet, so it's not out for. You just hear rumors of things that are going on, which is very easy to do, right? So I think part of these classes, what I really like is to try and figure out what is fact versus myth.
So just because it's on the internet, it's not fact,
No, Google does know everything, but not really everything.
right? Whether it's true or not, another story.
They did a news article. I want to say, what's the Sunday news show? Meet the Press.
Okay.
And the man that is the host, and I'm horrible with names, so I apologize. But the man is a very well-respected person. He's been hosting the Meet the Press for a long time. He started off with a fact, and because he said it and said it was quoted by such a person, went through the whole 60 minutes of the show, and then came back and he says, as I said at the beginning of the show, people tend to believe fake news 80% more of the time than they believe facts. So he says, my initial quote that I did was not said by such and such person. It was actually quoted this way by this person. So make sure you check out everything that you're believing. And it kind of goes back to what my mom used to say, is believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see.
I believe it. So that's Chuck Todd.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I've never really watched Meet the Press, so.
I watch it once in a while on Sunday, especially nowadays when you know that you can get an actual unbiased opinion of things that are happening in the world from the, I think from Meet the Press more than anywhere else.
I'm not sure anymore. So.
They come back with, they at least come back with opposite, you know,
Right. Well,
opposite
because
opinions.
More
Very-
than just
very
one side.
little.
More than just
unbiased.
one side.
That's good. That's good. And that's what's important about as we eat that rainbow, that we're eating things that we not only like, but that we add things that we don't. And I know that's been the biggest challenge for myself. And as I look at,
I don't like Brussels sprouts.
oh,
I
that's,
do every once in a while. I will eat Brussels sprouts because
They're good for
everybody
you.
else, they're good for you, and everybody else wants to eat them in the house. But when I was a kid, like my mom never cooked fish, I would
Right.
say, "Why do you cook Brussels sprouts?" Because I don't like those.
But I like fish sticks.
yes, I'll eat 2 halves, and that's my limit. So.
Brussels sprouts?
Yes, 2 halves.
2 halves. Gotcha.
Maybe 3. So
That's one.
that's as far as yeah, it's one whole one. You're right. That's as far as I go with them. So
Why the people that blood type B will go for Brussels sprouts?
Yeah.
But you-
Yeah, I am actually a B positive blood type, and I do not like Brussels sprouts at all. Flavor is just something. The flavor and the smell. For me, most things come down to smell and texture, whether or not I will eat them or not. Because there are certain things that I
I'm
absolutely
B positive.
love.
I love
I absolutely love, but I can't swallow them because they taste. The texture in my mouth is awful.
That's what she says. She's deep blood.
yeah, there's some people that can follow that blood type diet by Dr. Saint Diadamo. He wrote that book.
Eat for your blood type?
Yeah, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And so B blood types, that blood is very rare. So blood banks really want your blood, especially B negative.
I'm B positive, so
you're
they
B
don't want me so
No,
much.
they still want your blood. They'll take any B blood actually. A, B, B. I mean, that's just they want that. But if you follow your blood type, B blood types don't have the ability to really digest chicken. So
Oh, really?
again, you don't have
I eat
the
chicken all the time.
enzymes. Yeah, you don't have the enzymes to really eat chicken or digest chicken. So it's not really recommended to really have a lot of chicken in your diet.
Huh.
And there's peanuts and different things. Some of the B blood types, if they stay away
I know
from.
that it says I'm supposed to stay away from corn. I've never really been, except for I'll have probably once a year I'll have 1 corn on the cob. That's it.
To me,
That's-
it's like the horoscope. All these different signs, following the signs.
Right.
And they discovered over time that there was a lot of those different signs that were just lost over history, and so now we have what we have now. So it's all bogus.
Right. So where does corn fall in here? It's not really. It's not really.
It falls into yellow,
It
but
does.
it's also a very starchy. It's also a very starchy one, so it has a lot of carbohydrates in it.
Yeah.
It is really starchy, so it's very high in carbohydrates.
Yeah, I just don't digest corn very well. So
I don't think
I
many
love it,
people
but-
do. Not many people don't
Right,
digest corn very well.
Right.
And certain seeds, like flax seeds, are really good in omega-3s.
Exactly. Which I'm learning to eat as well.
Flaxseed?
Yes.
Do you like chia seeds?
Oh yes.
They're actually better for you than flaxseed. So just give up the
So-
flaxseed liking and stay with chia seeds.
Yeah, and I've done some consult on patients that have come back with super high antioxidants.
Mm-hmm.
They're eating chia seeds. I would have never believed it.
Yeah, oh yeah, chia seeds.
I mean,
It's a superfood.
So we throw those in our shake in the morning.
yeah, that's good.
But you
that
just
are.
have to make sure that you grind them up, right? Because the flaxseed or chia seeds doesn't matter. The one thing I like about chia seeds is you put it in a smoothie, they'll inflate and the husk will soften. Flax seeds, no, you really have to kind of grind them up. Otherwise, they just go back out the way they went in.
Exactly.
And you get no nutritional value from it. It becomes selenium, fiber, no nutritional value whatsoever. So you really, it's one of those, this flaxseed and chia seeds, you really have to masticate.
Well, the
Chew it,
chia
chew
seeds
it,
we
chew
throw
it.
in our shake and they do get soft.
They do inflate, and so it's easier to break them down, yeah, versus flaxseed. You have to really grind them.
We throw them in our blender, they get eaten up anyway. Chew that.
But yeah, I mean, think about eating different kinds of fruits and vegetables because they all have different nutritional value. You can't live on, in my opinion, you can't live on eating kale all day, every day.
Right.
Or lettuce all day, every day.
That's
gotta
why
throw
vegans have
protein.
such a difficult time understanding that
Right.
Yeah.
they need to eat the rainbow.
Yeah, I mean,
They eat what's in season.
True, absolutely. And for me, green peppers, they give me indigestion. make me
Okay.
burp a lot. I'm not happy with it, but you give me orange or yellow or red,
Yeah,
I'm a happy camper.
yeah, me too.
Just like cauliflower does the same kind of thing, indigestion thing to me. However, you give me purple or orange, I love them to death. I can eat them like nobody's business. And if you put them in hummus with a lot of garlic, I'm even happier.
Okay. So you have some recipes for cauliflower hummus?
We do. Actually, I think I posted some recipe, maybe it was Monday.
Okay.
Maybe it was yesterday. I posted a recipe on, and it had all purple cauliflower was in it.
Huh.
It was beautiful.
Oh, good. I'll have to go and check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of fun.
Yes.
I like doing recipes. And I love when everybody makes the recipe and then they tag me on it. I like that. That's a ton of fun too. You see what everybody's doing.
Yes. So questions on eating across the rainbow? I know as a vegetarian,
Yeah, try to eat all the colors.
all the colors.
Yeah.
And what do you use for your protein then?
Nuts.
Nuts?
Nuts. Do you do legumes?
Huh?
Legumes, beans, and lentils and things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
good.
they're very good. They're high in fiber as well as they're high in protein. You can get a lot of nutritional value from doing that. But yeah, I think in summary, basically, eat all the different colors so you get all the different micro and macronutrients, as well as make sure you have a diet that is high in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and nuts and seeds. That way you make sure that you're, treating your second brain, as you call it.
That's
your
correct,
second
your
brain.
second brain.
Your
That's
gut, your
what I call
second
it.
brain, and that way you have the best immune system available to you, and you live a happy, healthy life, and your colon loves you.
Exactly.
You like eggplant? Yeah.
Eggplant, I love eggplant. Yeah, eggplant. I make an excellent eggplant parmesan. No bread, no oil, no deep frying.
Wow. When's dinner?
Coconut oil is okay.
Do I use coconut oil? No, I use olive oil. I make it an Italian dish still, so it has olive oil in it. But coconut oil I use on things that I don't cook as hot. I use it in desserts more because of the fact that it has a lower smoke point than many other oils. And once you reach that smoke point of the oil, then it converts it to a trans fatty oil, and it's bad for you. It changes the chemical composition.
High heat, you cook.
Yeah, so a lot of oils are good for certain things like saffron oil or vegetable oil. I keep cold, and cold expeller pressed oils. I keep cold and I serve with cold foods like salad dressings and so on. But olive oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, those kinds of oils have a very high smoke point. Because once they start to smoke, then they change their chemical composition and they turn into bad fats. Artery clogging bad fats.
That's correct. Those partially hydrogenated,
Hydrogenated.
yep, hydrogenated oils.
Yeah.
Not good. Say that 10 times faster.
Partially hydrogenated.
Yes. All right.
Add those
Okay.
hydrogen molecules to an oil.
Not good.
Not good for you, no.
So it makes sense more, as we pursue health and wellness.
Yeah.
You are what you eat. I firmly believe that. I believe the body can heal itself if we give it proper
I
nutrition.
agree with you.
And as we go down this pathway and see more and more people coming out with cancer, again, changing diet, eat that rainbow, eating across that spectrum, I believe firmly that our bodies will be able to challenge any type of
I totally
drug
agree.
disease.
I totally agree. And I know a raw vegan chef that she was going blind and she was extremely overweight and she had all kinds of autoimmune issues. She went to raw vegan food and she is healthy. She's lived almost 10 years longer than what they thought she was going to live, and she has a family and she's totally thriving
Wow.
because that's what in order for her to fix what was going on with her, that's what it took. So I think it's really important. One thing that we do a really good job of is listen to how we feel after we eat something. Right? So if you
Right.
feel like let's say I eat a donut. And when I eat a donut, I feel my heart feels icky. I start to feel foggy brained. it just feels awful, right? So I don't eat donuts.
Right. Same with me. I never feel good.
Never feel good. So if you eat, I mean, feel how you feel after you eat a piece of chicken. Feel how you feel after you eat a piece of cheese. How you eat after you eat legumes or you eat pepper, sushi, and everybody feels different based upon how their body works.
Correct.
And so if you listen and jot down and you stay away from the things that make you feel foggy brained and clogged and like you need a nap or like your heart's going to beat outside of your chest, any of those things, those means that your sugar is spiking, that your stomach's going, no, don't give it to me.
Exactly.
Right? So your body tells you exactly what it does not like. Stay away from them. Stay away from everybody individual is different.
Yep.
Everybody individual. I went to college to learn how to speak like that.
Did you?
I did, yes.
So our guts are all different.
Our guts are all different, absolutely.
There we go.
Everybody manages whatever they eat differently. And their environment and so on.
What do you find that if they eat more whole grains, whole food, that they can change their metabolism to a degree?
I believe that if you're eating the right things that trigger your metabolism, then yes, that will happen.
So
But there was a study that was done, I think a year and a half ago, or maybe it was just published a year and a half ago, was where they took 17 different people and they all had to record everything that they ate, how they felt before, how they felt after, what their urine was like, what their bowel movements were like, how much water they intake, everything, how many hours they slept. They had to record this and they had to go in and take blood samples, do their own blood sample, like poke their finger to get blood drops, and all this stuff for 30 days. And they found that, one guy, his blood sugar would spike if he ate sushi. Well, another guy blood sugar would spike if he ate whole grains. Another person, blood sugar would spike if he ate cucumber. So it comes down to how you individually metabolize things. So people can say, yes, directionally correct. If you eat fatty foods, you're going to feel like this. If you eat too much sugar, then you're going to feel like that. But that's directionally they can point you because they know that the majority of people feel like that, but not everybody does. So really, you're your own best guide.
Okay.
All right.
Hey.
All making
you.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate everybody coming. Chef Jen,
Absolutely.
I mean, this is neat. Hopefully we keep educating. And again, eat from that rainbow. I mean, we're all going to be healthier. We're going to be wealthier with our health. I mean, not chasing our health as we get older here.
Yeah.
So it's a
Exactly.
great way to do it. And I look forward to doing our next one with you.
I
That'll be
know,
in,
isn't that fun?
4 weeks?
In 4 weeks, yes, second Tuesday of every month we have a class, except for 1 month, and we'll tell you about that, but it's already posted up on the website. It is Truth About Fats, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So it'll be our next one. We're excited about that. And we'll keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.